Focus Gaming News offers a warm welcome today to Tristan Sjoberg, Executive Chairman of TCSJOHNHUXLEY. Tristan, how are things there? Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you very much for having me on this call. I appreciate the opportunity, and things are good here in Singapore. We have entered reopening phase 2, which means that you can dine in restaurants, obviously with social distancing and capacity limits, but you can go to a restaurant now, and that's nice. The casino opened last week. Cinemas opened yesterday. So we are slowly getting back on track, slowly but surely, I would like to add, because the government is a relatively conservative government at the best of times, and I think they're doing a good job in bringing society back online in a safe and secure fashion.
It's great to hear. It's as you said, the casino opened last week. We started to see casinos in other areas in East Asia, also in Europe, in North America, starting to open now. Customers starting to come back to the gaming floors. Obviously, in quite different circumstances, and in most cases with limits on capacity and other restrictions in place. How the casinos that you've been talking to, how are they seeing it, and how are they feeling about doing business under this kind of new situation?
Well, the customers I've been talking to, they're obviously concerned about the situation of further community spread and in their premises, and they don't want to take any risks. They don't want to risk their customers being infected, and certainly they don't want to take any commercial risk either. So they are very much on the cautious side as well, and you say it's different for different places in the world, but and of course that's true to a certain extent, but I'm hearing exactly the same questions, whether I talk to a customer in South Africa, or if I talk to a customer in the UK, or in Asia, or indeed Las Vegas, which I did yesterday. It's all about how do we secure our premises for our staff and for our players, our customers. How can we do that? How can we reopen, give them the customer experience that they crave and want, at the same time do our utmost to keep them safe? And it's exactly the same question I am getting asked by customers worldwide, and the solution is pretty much the same as well. You have to take sanitation seriously. You have to do everything you can to create a clean and hygienic environment for both staff and players. At the same time, you also have to adapt the new normal, as we call it, as it relates to cultural and social interaction, where we're talking about social distancing, do the elbow bump to say hello instead of shaking hands, and all those measures, and that is the same answer throughout the world, and most customers I speak to, they fully adhere and sometimes go above and beyond what the governments or the local legislation are requiring them to do. So I'm hearing nothing but pretty good news at the moment, but it's still early days.
It's and I think you put your finger on it, that on the one hand, yes, it's all of these measures are necessary to ensure safety, to reassure customers, and on the other hand, I'm sure casinos don't want this to interfere with the experience, or to try to make it as seamless as possible, so that you still enjoy going to the casinos.
Indeed, and part of that experience is the social interaction as well. It's relatively clear what you can do with a gaming machine, a slot machine. You clean it often, you make sure you have a spacing apart from it. So what you as an operator can do with the gaming machine is pretty clear, as it relates to the community games of the live table game space, which is mainly our focus, almost exclusively our focus. Then obviously it becomes a little bit trickier, as you're sitting at the blackjack table, so obviously you have to limit the number of players there. In other games, such as craps and roulette, where mainly it's a standing environment, and you have to utilize the whole layout gaming area, then you have to find standard operating procedures to work around that. And we have been producing perspex shielding both for ETGs and also for tables, and that's obviously not a product line I had in my portfolio in January this year, but it's something we added in the last 6 weeks, and it's proved very popular around the world, in South Africa, in Europe in particular. We've also done some in America, but if you walk around Las Vegas, some are putting them up, some are not putting them up. And I wouldn't advocate one way or the other. It's up to the standard operating procedures and how you actually make sure and police the social distancing rules are required, are adhered to. And of course also how much the dealer, the croupier, can aid the player to place his bets. So all these items need to be considered before you come up with an operational procedure and safe working environment. And as you say, customer experience, because we all want that experience. Otherwise, all gambling would be online, and we're certainly not seeing that.
So I was going to ask you if you had seen, or have been forced to innovate as a result of the pandemic, and in a very short space of time as well. So you have had that need to produce new product ranges to satisfy that demand.
Yes, indeed. We realized relatively early, I would say, that we need to come out with products almost immediately in March. Customers were calling us and asking us what kind of products do we have to help us have a secure and hygienically clean environment for our customers and staff. So we quickly put our product development team into action, and also working with some of our trusted partners to try and get various products out. And it's about a month ago that we now launched our Care and Protect range. We have a chip sanitizer, which is a relatively quick product that we could bring to the market. I think we brought it from design to market. We brought it out in 14 weeks, which is not bad, considering that everyone was pretty much working from home all around the world. We also contacted various perspex suppliers, and with our manufacturing capability, both in the US, South Africa, China, and in Stoke-on-Trent, we were able to manufacture perspex shieldings, and indeed in South Africa it became glass. It's not perspex, it's actually glass, tempered glass. So again, that's one of the differences you see by being a global company. Different products have slightly different materials, so they adhere to the local standards and what's generally acknowledged. We have a 3D printer in the UK, so we were able to print PPE, personal protection equipment. We first did it as a charity event where we basically gave it to the local NHS trusts in the UK. We then saw a demand for it from our customers, so we started selling some as well. And indeed, I think in South Africa, we turned our layout department into a face mask production unit. So we in the first 10 days, we took orders of 10,000 face masks in South Africa for customers. At the same time, we donated about 2,000 face masks to schools and hospitals in South Africa. So, as you say, we've had to innovate. Some of it has been purely as a social gesture. We're all in this together, and at the same time, we've been able to commercialize some of the products, and we are continuing to innovate. And we have a couple of very exciting products in the pipeline, and hopefully by the end of this month we'll be able to release some more details, integrating technology into our existing products to make them even more safe and secure for both players and staff alike.
Excellent, brilliant work, and we'll look forward to hearing more about that. How have the company found working, as you said, at a time when most people were working from home? You were able to move quite swiftly and to flexibilize and to kind of adapt to the situation? How have you found the challenges of working where different lockdown situations in different countries? Are representatives able to get out there now, out and to see people face to face?
Well, it's been tough at times. Various aspects of the business has been hit differently, and by that I mean both geographically and also job function wise. So obviously sales were difficult to maintain because you were not allowed to do that face to face, nor did we want to put our staff in any risk. So obviously the back office functions that rely more on just a computer, they were able very easily to work from home, as was our product development team, who could easily work from home, a lot of software. So we've been able to do a mixture of working from home. Also in some parts of the world, it was not 100% lockdown. So we were still able to maintain a skeleton crew in the UK. To help with the perspex and help with some of the manufacturing that could not be done remotely. But some places were totally locked down. So it's been a bit of a mixture, I would say, and I think that the management from my side was at times quite challenging because of the time zones, and I'm in Singapore, which is at the far eastern end of the spectrum, and obviously managing operations in the in the Western Hemisphere, particularly down in Las Vegas, etc., and a newly acquired Mexico factory for furniture and layouts, the GPI transaction that we completed in February, obviously came at a cost in terms of sleeping for me. So, 5 a.m. Zoom calls with Las Vegas, followed by the last one at 10 or 11 o'clock with New York. So it was long days, and then I had 6 hours of Zoom with homeschooling with my kids. But we mustn't grumble. It's what we have to do. These things happened, and if you look at past generations who have gone to war, etc., I think having a lockdown for 2 months roughly, it's just what we have to go through.
Oh, absolutely. You certainly seem very positive, optimistic about the outlook now, especially now we've seen casinos reopening. Are you? I mean, we know the demand is still there. You think players still want the casino experience? You think people are going to want to be back on the gaming floor as soon as they can be, really?
Yeah, they will, and I specifically heard that from my Las Vegas team. There were people driving. They might not be flying so much, but there was certainly driving from all the West Coast down to Las Vegas when Las Vegas were opening. So. And that's good, but at the same time, I do caution everyone to be responsible and to make sure that they're not taking unnecessary risk. But of course, the pent-up demand, just because there's a pandemic, doesn't mean that the desire to have a good time will go away. Indeed, I think it's quite the opposite. And you saw that in the UK as well on Saturday, Super Saturday, when the pubs opened at 6 a.m. There were queues outside the pubs at 6 a.m. in the morning when the pubs opened. So I think we just have to do it responsibly, and that responsibility has to be taken both by the individual and also by the operators and the stakeholders. So everyone has to act responsibly to make sure that we minimize the surge of a second wave and indeed third waves, as Hong Kong is looking like it's on the verge of a third wave in Hong Kong, and that's obviously not good news. But you're right. You started off by saying I'm positive, and yes, I'm a positive person by nature, and I also believe that when these things happen, the market and certainly in the media, exuberant optimism and negativity. And I think that it's very easy to make bold predictions, positively or negatively, when these things happen, and often it's an overreaction. So I'm positive that things will get back to normal relatively quickly. But it will be a new normal, and I stress that it will be a new normal. But I do think that this is not something that's going to linger for 2-3 years. By the end of this year, I think we will have found a new normal, and it won't be that bad. So I'm an optimist. The glass is half full.
And do you think for casinos that will mean a difference in the experience in any way, a difference in the experiences that they offer?
You know what? I don't think so. I don't think it will radically change. I think new technology will help. I see a lot of companies are doing cashless payment now, and I think it's about time, to be perfectly honest with you. Now, obviously, a lot of that has been that technology innovation has been hamstrung by gaming commissions who have not allowed it before, but they are now wising up to allow this, and I think that would be a great boost for the industry, and it's something I've been advocating for years, as we've seen the advent of digital payment currencies and digital payment methods. Obviously, my family has various investments in the online space, and I can see how well it works there in a very safe and secure way. In a lot of ways, the anti-money laundering facilities are far greater in that environment than it is in a land-based environment. So I think going to a cashless payment is very good indeed. And I think there's various other technologies that will now come to the fore, antiseptic coatings on tables, chips, etc. These are technologies that are out there, and it's not rocket science. Quite literally, it's not rocket science. You have antibacterial coatings, etc. I mean, indeed, I had an antibacterial coating for my iPhone about 3 years ago, and you know, there's no reason why you can't integrate that into casino products. So I think the casino and our industry is sometimes a bit slow in adopting new technology, partly because of legislation, but also part of the you know, it's a conservative industry, and I think this will now hopefully be the start of a new innovation phase for the land-based casino, both suppliers and operators.
It makes good sense. Is there anything that you would like to add, Tristan, before we round off?
No, thank you. It's been great talking to you guys, and it's great to see that the industry is pulling together. As I said, I'm optimistic that the land-based casinos are here to stay. I'm hearing good news about the numbers in the casinos that are opening or reopening, I should say, and I think that the land-based casino sector is bound to have a very good 2021. It will take about 6 months to figure things out and to get back into the new normal. But once that is done, I'm pretty convinced that we have a bright future.
Excellent, fantastic. Well, Tristan, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your time, and it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Joe. Look forward to having a beer or a glass of wine with you next time I'm down your way.
Absolutely, we look forward to it. Cheers, Tristan.
Cheers.